So this is a coordinate system. One minute, please hold on. I don't know when everything can go wrong is going wrong today. Okay, so here is a coordinate system. Okay, so we have a coordinate system where we try to define a point which is there in space. Suppose you have a point in space. Just imagine in your room there is some point. Okay, let's say your head. Now I am sitting somewhere else, and if you have to tell me where exactly is your head, it becomes very difficult for you to speak, because you can't say go to the door, nor can you say come up to me and then punch my head. I can't say any of those statements because you don't know where I am sitting. You have absolutely no clue as to what direction I am facing, what I am, which is my right side, which is my left side. You have absolutely no clue about all this. So in such circumstances, it is very, very difficult to communicate. But understand that whether it is a physicist or a chemist or a mathematician, we all want to communicate, or we need to communicate. So I can't say that, look, I cannot communicate to you, because we are going into a world where things are going to be delivered on drones. Now, if I'm going to send a drone from here all the way up to your house and then to punch your head, it gets extremely difficult, because I have to feed the drone with the correct details, and only when I feed the drone with the correct details, it can go all the way and then do the job that has been assigned to it, right? So here is where there is a small application that we want to learn. We talk of a coordinate system. We talk of coordinate axis. We talk of this coordinate axis so that we can give a reference frame to the world. Okay, so the word that I'm using is a reference frame. Now, a reference frame. Reference, what does the meaning of the word reference mean? That it is going to be referred to for anything as far as the location is concerned, right? So if I am at my house and I'm going for 5 kilometers and your house is 5 kilometers away, it doesn't mean I'm going to your house, because it depends on which direction I'm going. So what is my reference frame, right? So whenever we talk of directions, whenever we talk of go this way, go that way or something, we need to have a reference frame. This north, south, east, west doesn't work out. North, south, east, west doesn't work out, because unless you have a computer, unless you are a human being, it doesn't make sense. And 90% of the times these days we communicate with computers. So when you are talking to a computer, north, south, east, west doesn't make sense, because the computer doesn't know now whether you're talking about 3 dimension, whether you're talking about 2 dimension. In 3 dimension, what is the 3rd dimension? How are you going to talk about it? So there are a lot of issues which come up, right? So we are not very happy with the north, south, east, west reference frame. So we get into a newer reference frame, which is called the coordinates, which is our XYZ reference frame, or the coordinate system. Now this reference frame is assumed to be fixed. Okay, so this reference frame is assumed to be fixed. Say for example, if I am sitting inside a car and you are also sitting inside a car, with respect to each other, we both are at rest. With respect to each other, both of us are at rest. That means to me, you will appear, the distance between you and me will be the same as long as we are in the same car, right? Now, if somebody is outside, the distance between the person outside and you and me inside the car is now not going to be the same. So it is going to keep moving, right? So it is not enough to say that there is a reference frame. we have to define the reference frame, because this reference frame is in the solar system, and you all know that the solar system, every object is moving. So I can confuse things, or I can get confused. If I am a good computer, I can get confused because I don't know to what level I should think and to what level I should work on. Say for example, if I tell you that I am a reference frame attached to the earth. Now the earth is spinning. So when the earth is spinning, there are certain types of motions which won't be captured. Then the earth will be at rest, right? So we have to understand, we have to define what reference frame we are talking of. So the reference frame that we are talking of is something that you have drawn here, XYZ, which is assumed to be fixed. And how do you know it is fixed? Basically, that distant star that we are able to see, is there at its own place forever. It doesn't move. So when that distant star there is not moving, it means that I am also not moving. So this is a hypothetical situation. In reality, you can never find, I mean, at least on earth, you can't find, being on earth, you can't do a reference frame of that kind, right? But this is an assumption. So whenever we talk of distance, whenever we talk of displacement, whenever we talk of anything, we talk about it with respect to a reference frame. This reference frame is assumed to be fixed. Yeah, this reference frame is assumed to be fixed, and fixed with respect to what? Fixed with respect to a distant star somewhere in the sky, and the position of that star does not change with respect to this reference frame. Okay, the position of the distant star does not change. Now this reference frame is what we use to analyze. Now this reference frame has three axes. There is an x-axis, there is a y-axis, and then there is a z-axis. Now if you have any point in space, you can go that many units along x-axis, say x units. You can go y units along z-axis, this is y units along the y-axis, and some z units along the z-axis. So the location of a point x comma y comma z is x units along x-axis, y units along y-axis, z units along z-axis. You've already learned this. You have learned this in something called as coordinate geometry. We will just learn little bit more than whatever we have learned already in your school. Okay, so you have a coordinate system here. This is your coordinate system. Here, this is a right-handed coordinate system. It's a right-handed coordinate system. That means from x, you go anti-clockwise to y. From x, you go anti-clockwise to y. From y, you go anti-clockwise to z. Then from z, you go anti-clockwise to x. Such a system is called a right-handed coordinate system. So I can't just name this x, I can't name this z, and I can't name this y. Because when I'm going from x to y, I'm going this way, which is clockwise. When I'm going from z to x, I'm going this way, which is clockwise. So there is a specific way in which you call which one is x-axis, which one is y-axis, which one is z-axis. This is not the way you can call them as x, y, and z. So if you want to call them as x, y, and z, you have the x-axis, you go anti-clockwise, you have the y-axis, you again go anti-clockwise, and you have the z-axis. and again you go anti-clockwise, you are coming to the x-axis. Do you understand this? Yeah. So this is the x-axis, this is the y-axis, and this is the z-axis. Such a system is what is referred to as a right-handed system. And you got to go anti-clockwise to go from x to y, then y to z, and z to x. And if you notice the four corners of your house, there will be only one of them which will be convenient to represent the coordinate system. There will be only one which will represent, one which will be convenient. I don't say all can't, all will be, but only one you will see will be very convenient to represent the coordinate system. Or any coordinate, any axis can, any of them can be represented the coordinate system, just that what is x, what is y, what is z will be different in each case. Can you just look at one of the corners and then see which of them should be the x-axis, which of them should be the y-axis, and which of them should be the z-axis? Yeah. So now if you have identified the corner, now you can tell where your head is with respect to that corner. So your head may be 3 units along the x-axis, maybe 4 units along the y-axis, and maybe 5 units above. So you have given the coordinate of your head. Now once you tell me that this is the coordinate of my head, my robo can go there, he can figure out which should be the coordinate system and about which axis you are speaking of, and accordingly make sure that it is doing the job right. Do you understand? So in such a coordinate system, any point can be defined by 3 quantities x, y, and z. X is the distance along the x-axis, y is the distance along the y-axis, and z is the distance along the z-axis. Okay. Now if I am looking only at x-axis and y-axis, suppose this is x-axis and this is y-axis, can I say that I'm looking at it along this is x-axis and this is so many units along x-axis and so many units along y? So can I say that I'm talking about this? So do you understand that this is x, this is y, this is root over of x square plus y square? So do you understand that if there is a point x comma y comma z, the distance of this from the origin is that point where the 3 axes meet, that is called the origin. So from the origin is root over of x square plus y square plus z square, because now I have to go z units. So when I go z units about this, then I can find out what is the distance. So this is x square plus y square, this is z. So when I go again, it will become x square plus y square plus z square. Do you understand this? Yeah. Do you understand that suppose you have, this is x-axis and this is y-axis, you are at a point here x1 y1. We are not looking at third dimension right now, we are looking at 2 dimensions and then we'll generalize. Now this distance that I'm talking of, this distance is root over of x square plus y square, x1 square plus y1 square. Suppose from here you are moving towards this point x2 y2. Do you understand that this distance from here to here is root over of x2 square plus y2 square? Now do you also understand that this distance from here to here is root over of x2 minus x1 the whole square plus y2 minus y1 the whole square. So I want to prove that. So this is a coordinate axis. I have x-axis here, y-axis here. I have a point here. This point is like x1, y1. And I have another point here. This point is x2, y2. Now I'm connecting these 2 points. Now I understand that this distance from here to here is like x1. This distance from here to here is x2. So the distance from here to here is x2 minus x1. By the same logic, this one is y1. This one from here to here is like y2. This distance from here to here. So this distance from here to here is what? y2 minus y1. This distance from here to here is what? x2 minus x1. So this distance from this point to this point is what? Root over of x2 minus x1 the whole square plus y2 minus y1 the whole square. Do you understand this? Can you make some notes? Today we are discussing some basics about coordinate system, coordinate geometry. I assure you this is the last part that we will discuss. After this we will go to physics, and once we go to physics you'll really hate it, but we will go. Okay, so this is the distance between the 2 points, x2 minus x1 the whole square plus y2 minus y1 the whole square, which means that if I have if I have a point A which is equal to x1 y1 z1 and a point B which is equal to x2 y2 z2, the distance between AB, which I'll call it as AB segment, is equal to root over of x2 minus x1 the whole square plus y2 minus y1 the whole square plus z2 minus z1 the whole square. Okay. So here one small thing I want to explain to you, that whenever you draw anything on the x-axis, you have an independent variable. Whenever you draw anything on the y-axis, y-axis is a dependent variable. And this is dependent on what? This is dependent on x value. So y is dependent on x. Okay, so that is what we have to understand. So suppose tomorrow I ask you to draw a graph of speed versus time. So where will you draw speed and where will you draw time? So speed has to be on the y-axis and time has to be on the x-axis, because time is an independent variable. Nothing depends upon time. Okay, so remember that. Anyway, that is out of the context. I hope this you are able to understand. Yeah. Show slide 2. I will show. Your video is hanged. Sir, can you repeat? Sir, I can't hear you well. Sir, which chapter are we seeing today? We are not seeing any new chapter. We are just, sir, can you show second slide? Yeah, I said I will start first chapter, but not today. Next class, I will 100% start first chapter. Okay, so I hope first that you are able to listen to what I am saying. This is the second slide. I am trying to tell you that we are having a right-handed coordinate system. A right-handed coordinate system. In a right-handed coordinate system, now why I am saying this is because tomorrow onwards we'll be drawing lot of graphs. When we draw a lot of graphs, I will be drawing x here and I'll be drawing y here. Now I don't want you to tell me, sir, why did you draw x here, y here? Why not for a change you draw y here and x here? We don't draw like that. because we are using a right-handed system. In a right-handed system, from x to y always has to be anti-clockwise. So this is not the way it can be. That is what I'm trying to say. Okay. Now I'm trying to say that if you have a coordinate system, let's say a two-dimensional coordinate system, you have one point which is x1, y1. You have another point here which is x2, y2. Then based on this, if I'm joining these two, then what is this distance? This distance is x1. Then what is this distance? This distance here is x2. So what is this distance from here to here? This is x2 minus x1, right? So this distance from here to here is x2 minus x1. This distance from here to here is y2 minus y1. And this distance from here to here is root over of x2 minus x1 the whole squared plus y2 minus y1 the whole squared. Now this is what I'm using Pythagoras theorem here. In a right angle triangle, hypotenuse squared is equal to adjacent squared plus base squared. Yeah, so I can say that if you have point A here and if you have point B here, then AB is equal to this much. This is in a two-dimensional system. I can generalize it to 3 dimensions also. And if you have a point x1, y1, z1 and a point x2, y2, z2, then the distance between the 2 points is x1 minus x2 the whole square plus y1 minus y2 the whole square plus z1 minus z2 the whole square. Now there is a small error here. Can you think what is the error? Some of you may say that, look sir, it should be x2 minus x1, not x1 minus x2. But friends, please understand, because of the square here, whether you take x2 minus x1 or x1 minus x2, it is the same. So the distance between the two points is nothing but you subtract the x coordinates, subtract the y coordinates, subtract the z coordinates, square them, add them, and you get the distance between 2 points. So this is the coordinate system where necessarily I have x on the x-axis and the y coordinate on the y-axis. And when I write my coordinates, I write the x coordinate first, I write the y coordinate later, and the z coordinate the last. And 3 coordinates are enough for me to explain anything anywhere because we are in a 3-dimensional world. Okay, so if you can understand this, if you can make notes, we can move on. Okay, so if you have got it, video is breaking, sir. In the third coordinate system, which is dependent and which is independent, in the three coordinate system, always x is independent and y is dependent. Why aren't you speaking? I am speaking. Okay, voice is breaking. You are saying okay. No, we will never draw graphs with 3 dimensions. We will never draw graphs with 3 dimensions. We will draw graphs with only 2 dimensions. We will never. Okay. Yeah. So you will never draw graphs with 3 dimensions. So please don't worry about that. We will only draw graphs with 2 dimensions. we cannot draw graphs with 3 dimensions right now. In this whole of 11th and 12th also, you will never be drawing graphs with 3 dimensions. Only thing is, in maths, you will be working with 3 dimensions. In physics also, we will be working with 3 dimensions. But this knowledge is enough. This distance between 2 points, understanding that is enough. Okay. Now, if you want me to prove this again, I'll try to prove this for 3 dimensions. But before that, let me explain to you what I'm trying to say. See, suppose there is a point x comma y comma z. Okay, it is x units along x axis, then it is y units along y axis, and you reach here. Now from here you will be going vertically upwards for the z axis, because z axis is in that side, vertically upwards. So when you go vertically upwards, do you see that this and that vertically upwards is a right angle triangle again, because here that angle will be 90 degrees. Yeah. So what is this equal to? This is equal to x square plus y square root over. And now that the vertically upwards will be z. So now when you join the origin to that particular point, what again I'll apply Pythagoras theorem. The hypotenuse will be what? Root over of x square plus y squared the whole squared plus z squared, which is root over of x square plus y squared plus z squared. Huh? Are you able to understand this? Yeah. So all that I am trying to say is that, look friends, if I have to explain the location of any point or anything anywhere, I will be using a coordinate system. The coordinate system that we use is a 3-dimensional coordinate system. It's called a 3D system. So we are using a 3D system. In this 3D system, we have 3 variables. We have x variable, y variable, and z variable. Now 99% of the geometry that we draw in the 11th and 12th will be 2-dimensional. So we don't have to worry too much about the 3rd dimension. Nevertheless, you some of you are going to become engineers tomorrow, so you will have to think about it. And with more and more operations being done via computers of a 3rd dimension, so if you have to reach the heart of a person, only 2 coordinates will not help. Apart from 2 coordinates, you have to understand that there is a 3-dimensional coordinate system which we will be using. Now in this 3-dimensional coordinate system, I am saying now which is x, which is y, which is z. There is no confusion. Which is x, which is y, which is z. There is such that if from x you are going anti-clockwise, you will go to y. From y, if you are going anti-clockwise, you will go to z. Now when you look at your room, you will see there will be one coordinate. There are 8 corners. Of these 8 corners, one corner where you will be able to fix this very easily. Okay, one corner where you will be able to fix this very easily. You will be able to see which one is the x-axis, which one is the y-axis, which one is the z-axis, very, very easily. Okay, so that is what it is. So in my room, so the way I am sitting right now, I'll explain to you. So I am sitting in a room like this. So in the room that I'm sitting in a room like this. I'm facing like this. So this is the height of the room. Yeah. So I am sitting in a room where I am facing this side. Now here, this axis is the x-axis. This axis here is the y-axis, and this axis here is the z-axis. Perfectly fits, because from x-axis, if I go anti-clockwise, I am going to the y-axis. From y-axis, if I come anti-clockwise, I am going to the z-axis. From z-axis, if I go anti-clockwise, I am going to the x-axis. So this one fits perfectly, x, y, and z. So this is what I am trying to say, that there is one corner in your room where you will be able to fix the x, y, and z coordinates very easily without much difficulty. So this is what is that corner, as at least the room in which I am in right now. This is what I'll be able to fix. Now, suppose I want to fix this. I'll find it very difficult. I'll find it very, this is on the ground, okay, not up, it is on the ground. Okay, because I drew it many times, it is now working out to be difficult. Now this point is because of this multiple, now this point is what I actually mean. This is x-axis, this is y-axis, and this is the z-axis. So x-axis, y-axis, z-axis, x anti-clockwise y, y anti-clockwise z, z anti-clockwise x. All coordinates won't work. This one, to make this make x, y, and z will be very difficult because this will not be plus x. This will be minus x. So it will be very difficult, right? So only one coordinate, one corner will work easily. Then I am telling you about something called as a distance formula. In this coordinate system, if you have one point which is x1, y1, if you have another point here which is x2, y2, then what is this length from here? I am just drawing these projections on the x-axis and y-axis. So now this distance from here to here is x2 minus x1. This distance from here to here is y2 minus y1. So this distance from here to here will be root over of this square plus this square. So that is the distance formula. This is for 2 points I have said. If there are 3 points, then if there are 3 coordinates, then it will become root over of x2 minus x1 the whole square plus y2 minus y1 the whole square plus z2 minus z1 the whole square. So these are the coordinates. This is the length of the line joining x1, y1, z1 to x2, y2, z2. Okay, so this is the length of the line joining x1, y1, z1 to x2, y2, z2. So this is how you work with it. So I hope you are able to understand. I hope you understand if I tell you that I am moving from x1, y1 to x2, y2, how much I have moved. I hope you will be able to understand. Okay. Now, in your 11th standard, you have read something called as internal division, external division, and all those things. Internal division, external division. I hope you remember that. Suppose you have a line which is joining 2 points. Suppose this is x1, y1. This is x2, y2. Then you want the coordinates of a point which will divide this in the ratio m into n. So how do you find out this coordinate? So here, let this coordinate be x comma y. If this coordinate is x comma y, then this point here is x2. Now, because this line is parallel to this line, this will also be in the ratio m is to n. Yeah, I hope you are able to understand that. So this point, this ratio will also be m is to n. So I can say that x1 minus x divided by x minus x2 is equal to m by n, because this distance here is x minus x1. Okay, let me not write it this way. It is equal to x minus x1, and this distance here will be x2 minus x. It's the same thing. Okay, now I'm just cross multiplying. So I'll get mx2 minus mx is equal to nx minus nx1. So now I will rearrange this so that I'll take this side. So I'll get mx2 plus nx1 divided by m plus n is equal to x. So I found out the x coordinate. X coordinate is mx2 plus nx1 divided by m plus n. The same way I can find out the y coordinate also. Y coordinate is my2 plus ny1 divided by m plus n. So friends, this is what I mean to say when I say that the 11th standard portions of syllabus is difficult, is different from the 10th portions, because in 11th standard, we always want to know why. So we understand that there is no formula. we understand that there is no formula. Instead, we need to understand why it is. So this is what I am expecting each one of you. We are doing all these maths to say that even when we talk of science, we are going to use mathematics in science. Always we will think about maths when we are doing science. Little bit of it, not too much, little bit of it. Okay, again, I am at one extreme because I have 20 years of experience. You are just beginning. I don't expect you to be here. If this is the line separating you and me, I just want you to reach here, which I am confident you will be able to reach. But only when I show you a lot, you will be able to reach there. If I just tell you 5 formulas and sit down, then you won't be able to reach there. Okay, so please understand this and then please think about it. So don't get bogged down by that Sari is doing so much of maths. Why the hell should I do all this maths? You don't have to do, but you need to know. And that's my job. My job is to tell you that, look, there is much more, because I don't know who of you tomorrow is going to become a great scientist by doing so much of research. So wherever you do research, you will need all these things. So that's what is my job. Okay, so I hope you are able to understand the distance formula. The distance formula is root over of x1 minus x2 the whole square plus y1 minus y2 the whole square plus z1 minus z2 the whole square. I hope you know the intercept formula, the fact that if there is a point here which will divide this in the ratio m is to n, so it is m into this coordinate x2 plus n into this coordinate n x1 by m plus n. Similarly, m y2 plus n y1 by m plus n. Similarly, m z2 plus n z1 by m plus n. Okay, now suppose this is x1 y1 z1 and this is x2 y2 z2. Do you see that this line is having an inclination? It is inclined. If it is inclined, assume it is only two-dimensional. It is inclined with respect to x-axis. It is also inclined with respect to y-axis. Now we have something called as the slope. Slope I explained to you. Suppose this angle here is theta, then the slope is nothing but tan theta. Slope of any line is the tan of the angle which the line makes with the x-axis. This is the definition of slope. Slope of a line is the tan of the angle which the line makes with the x-axis. So suppose there is a line and here is a line. That line is making some angle theta, and slope is equal to tan theta. But you know tan theta is equal to opposite side by adjacent side. You know tan theta is equal to opposite side by adjacent side. Now what is opposite side? What is this equal to? Can I say this is equal to y2 minus y1? Then what is this equal to? X2 minus x1. So can I say the slope of a line is equal to y2 minus y1 by x2 minus x1? Slope of a line is equal to y2 minus y1 by x2 minus x1. Yeah. Yeah, so we are learning the section formula. You're right. Okay, don't worry, I won't do much today. We'll again continue. Okay, so do you understand the slope of a line is the tan of the angle which the line makes with the x-axis. Now here there is a new word, line. What is a line? Have you ever thought, I'll just stop with this, okay? 2 minutes, I'll stop. What is a line? Line is basically a moving point. You take a particular point and then you make it move. This is your coordinate axis. You take a particular point and you make it move. You make it move on either side. But if you move it like this, it is not a point. It is not a line. It is a line only if you move it in a specific direction. What do you mean by direction? A specific angle. Do you understand this? Yeah. So if you are moving it like this, or let me say that you have a point here, let us say x1, y1, and you move it such that it passes through a point x2, y2, then definitely this is a line, right? A line is the shortest distance which joins two points. Suppose in between this there is a point x comma y. Now, do you understand that the slope here must be equal to the slope here if it's a line? So, can I say x minus y1 by x minus x1 is equal to y2 minus y1 by x2 minus x1, which is equal to something m. So, if I just do little bit of cross multiplication, I'll get y minus y1 is equal to mx minus mx1. So, I get y is equal to mx minus mx1 plus y1. So, this m is a constant, x is a constant, x1 is a constant, y1 is a constant. So, can I say y is equal to mx? I'll just make it to plus some constant, whatever it is. So, do you see that this is an equation where y is equation because there is an equal to? It has two variables, y and x. Do you see that y is a variable, x is a variable? And do you see that you have derived the equation of a straight line? In the first class or sometime one class I told you that any linear equation is a straight line. What do you mean by linear? If the exponents of x and y is equal to 1, it's a straight line. Now do you understand why it's a straight line? Right? So we don't have to learn this. We don't have to learn this. What I am trying to tell you, friends, is that if you understand the basic concepts, everything in maths and science can be developed from by asking small questions that can come to your mind. So, one, don't stop asking questions. Second, don't wait for somebody to answer. Try to answer. It will answer. Okay, anyway, fine, friends, don't worry. This is just tomorrow when I ask you to draw a graph, I don't want you to draw y along the horizontal and x along the vertical. That is the only learning that I'm expecting from you here. So I don't want you to name x, y, z any way you want to. It has to follow the right-handed system. And I want you to think that in your room of the 8 corners, which corner do you think will fit the coordinate system well? Okay, so that is what I want. So that is the only learning from this, nothing else. I don't want you to know equation of a straight line, but I want you to know that if y is equal to mx plus c is a straight line. I want you to know that ay plus bx plus c is a straight line. Why? Because the exponent of x is 1, y is 1. So you can always write it in this format. You can say a equal to 0, of course. You can say ay is equal to minus bx minus c, or y is equal to minus b by a x minus c by a. And you can say y is equal to, this is equal to mx plus c. So you say that, look, this looks like a straight line. So this is the equation of a straight line. Okay, so that is what I want you to say. Okay, this one I hope you are able to understand. Then this one. Okay, I assure you next class we are going to read new chapter, units and dimensions. If you guys can go through the chapter and then come, it will be easy. This is the section formula. Okay, so here I am explaining to you the meaning of the word slope. Okay, so next class we will look at units and dimensions. Please read units and dimensions and come, then things will be easy. Slope of a line is always tan y, sir. Yes, sir. Slope is always tan y. Then again, yeah, time up. Can you please show the slides? I showed you the slides. Do you mean that slope is dy by dx, sir? Yes, slope is dy by dx. Okay, so move on. Bye.